Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Granth Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Guru. I would like to thank the devotees at the Eldoret Temple from part Prema Prabhu onwards to allowing me to speak on Bhagavad Gita. And before we go to the Bhagavad Gita, we'll try to speak and recite the Mangala Charan. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshuramilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Stayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sabadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padagamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitantam Shri Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Paramami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Vahevacha Patitana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse number 21. If you have the books with you, please open your Bhagavad Gita and repeat the verse after me. If you want to, Bhaya Spashu Ashaktatma
Spasha Asartana
Indati Atmani Yat Sukham
Vindhyati Atmani Yatsukham
Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma
Brahma Yoga Yuktatma
Sukham Akshayam Ashnute.
Sukham Akshayam Asmate.
Translation. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. You can repeat piece by piece, responsively. Such a liberated person
Such a liberated person
is not attracted to material sense pleasure,
to material sense pleasure,
but is always in trance,
but is in trance,
enjoying the pleasure within.
enjoying the pleasure within.
In this way,
the
self-realized person
self-realized person
enjoys unlimited happiness,
enjoys unlimited happiness,
for he concentrates on the Supreme.
for he concentrates on the Supreme.
Okay, we read the purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Yamunacharya, great devotee in Krishna consciousness, said, Yad avadhi mama cheta Krishna padarabinde Navanava rasa dhamani udyatam rantum ashit Tad avadhi bhata nari sangame smara yamane Bhavati mukha vikara shushtu nishtivanam cha. The translation is, since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought, and my lips curl with distaste. A person in Brahma Yoga or Krishna consciousness is so absorbed in loving service of the Lord that he loses his taste for material sense pleasure altogether. The highest pleasure in terms of matter is sex pleasure. The whole world is moving under his spell, and a materialist cannot work at all without this motivation. But a person engaged in Krishna consciousness can work with greater vigor without sex pleasure, which he avoids. That is the taste in spiritual realization. Spiritual realization and sex pleasure go ill together. A Krishna conscious person is not attracted to any kind of sense pleasure due to his being a liberated soul. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So before we go to the explanation, we should understand that Bhagavad Gita has got 18 chapters. The third chapter is called Karma Yoga. And even the fifth chapter is also called Karma Yoga. Actually, it's Karma Sannyas Yoga. In other words, the third chapter, Karma Yoga, is being explained for the general mass of people or those who follow the Varna and Ashram. But this particular fifth chapter is meant for devotees, how devotees should act or perform their karma or their activities so that they remain Krishna conscious at the same time, not become bonded by the results of karma. So this particular verse, which I repeat for you, such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates upon or on the Supreme. Now, this purport has got two main points. Number one, a devotee feels no attraction for material sense pleasure because he's enjoying his relationship with Krishna. And you find when you say you are a devotee, you should have at least one relationship with Krishna. If you go to the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada says, at least there are 5 relationships, direct relationships with Krishna, and one can have at least one of them. The first one is called Santarasha, or what Shanta comes from peaceful, peace. If one has a peaceful heart, he can engage in devotional service. So that's why it's called Santarasha, which Prabhupada translates as a relationship in neutrality. The second one is called Dasya Ras, or to become a servant of Krishna. Dasya means servant. Just like ideal example of servitorship is Hanumanji. And third comes Sakya Ras. Sakya Ras means a fraternal or a friendly relationship with Krishna, like Arjun or Vibhishan. They had friendship with the Supreme. So that is called the third relationship. Fourth relationship, which is very high or much, much deeper, and that is called Vatsalya. Vatsalya means to treat Krishna as your son, like Yashoda and what do you call Nand Maharaj. They call Krishna, though he's the Supreme Lord, they said, no, he's our son. And they even looked after him, they even protected him. This is called Vatsalya Bhav, which is very rare. And still more rare is Madhurya Bhav. Fifth relationship is conjugal love. To be in love with Krishna like the gopis of Vrindavan. So 5 kind of relationships. Now earlier in the 4th chapter, Krishna told Arjuna that I am speaking you this Bhagavad Gita because you are my friend and you are my devotee. He says, Bhaktosi Sakha Cheti. Bhaktosi me Sakha Cheti. It means you are my devotee, at the same time you are my friend. If you don't have a relation with Krishna, then the question of love cannot appear, or the loving devotional service cannot take place. It can only take place if you have one relationship, at least one of these 5. These are the 5 direct relationships. And of course, there are 7 indirect relationships, which we will not discuss now. Maybe later on, those are still deeper. But for the time being, the first main point is that a devotee enjoys his relationship with Krishna so much that he has no attraction for material sensual pleasure. You find that the whole world is revolving around material sense pleasure. See, people like to see movies. What is in the movies? It attracts you. It increases your lust. That's why people like to see commercial movies. People like to see dancing, like especially women dancing, men like to see. When men are dancing, women like to see. People like to hear lusty songs, cinema songs, because there is some lust inside. So lust is everywhere. And the whole world is crazy behind it. Sri Prabhupada says earlier in one purport that when you defy Krishna or you don't want to obey Krishna, then you get shackled. You know what is a shackle? When a police catches you, if you are a criminal, he'll put a shackle and he'll take you to the jail or maybe take you to the court. In the similar way, if you do not accept the authority of Krishna, then the shackle is in the form of sex life. If a person is feeling a lot of sensual, sexual attraction, it means he's defying Krishna. Though it is natural, but in devotional service, this pleasure cannot please the devotee. A devotee becomes unhappy or he feels uncomfortable when such a thought comes. And even if it comes, what does he do? He engages strongly in devotional service. And by thus doing, he can control his mind and senses. Of course, Sri Prabhupada says in a lecture that these things are natural, they will come. As far as you have this material body, this kind of attraction will always be there. But by accepting a higher taste, you can give up a lower taste. It is explained in the 2nd chapter. Vishaya vini vartante neharasya dehina raso arjam raso api rasya param dishtva nivartate. Having attained a higher taste, without getting a higher taste, one cannot give up a lower taste. In other words, if you are in Krishna consciousness, it's a higher taste. So when you are engaged in the service of Krishna, the taste is so high that you will not enjoy this lower taste. Even if it comes, you'll keep it at the bay. In other words, you'll keep it far away. And in other words, also in the 2nd chapter, Krishna says, keep all the abominable activities by the strength of devotional service. Just like when a warrior goes on the battlefield, then it's not that in the olden times, it's not that he only carries a sword. He also carries a shield. So when there's a need of fighting, he uses a sword. When it comes to defending, he uses a shield. In this way, a devotee shields himself by engaging in devotional service. In this way, he remains protected and his mind cannot be deviated towards material sense pleasure or sensual pleasures. This is the first point. And the next point is that he tries to avoid all kinds of pleasures related to lust, especially sex pleasure. And that is a taste of spiritual realization. If you consider yourself to be spiritually elevated or a realized person, then even a thought comes to you, it means you are far from Krishna. Or in other words, you are bonded in this material world. So don't remain bonded. Come out of it. Many examples are given. For example, the best example is that of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, is our Acharya or the teacher of the holy name. That's why we say, Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Now there are 2 instances in his life that in that village, there used to be a very envious person, Ramchandra Khan, and he sent a prostitute. He hired a prostitute to spoil the meditation of Haridas Thakur's chanting. And we should know that he used to chant at least 20 hours a day. 64 rounds quietly, 64 rounds whispering, 64 rounds loudly, 192 rounds a day, which is not easy. Even we devotees, sometimes we struggle. For 16 rounds, we say, oh, it's so difficult. But for Haridas Thakur, since he had got the taste, and Haridas Thakur is a pure devotee, he could chant. And Haridas Thakur used to stay outside the town. So this prostitute was sent when the night is almost very dark, especially after 10 p.m. After 10 p.m., Haridas was chanting on his japa beats very nicely. And he saw this lady coming inside. And she was dressed in such a way that she was there to allure Haridas Thakur. And she tried her best to allure him. And then she even told Haridas Thakur that how youthful you are so nice looking. Which woman can control herself looking at you? At that time, Vishnu Haridas was quite young in his youth. And Haridas told the lady that you have to wait for some time because I have taken a vow of chanting extra rounds. So let me finish my rounds. They're almost getting over now. If you can sit for a while. She didn't sit, she stood, trying to show different poses to Haridas. But later on, she got tired, she sat down. And Haridas was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So as he was chanting, these words were going into the ears of this prostitute. So by the time it was almost 2 or maybe 3 in the morning, in the dark night, she said, are your rounds not yet finished? And I just said, no, a few more to go. In this way, she became disgusted. She went away. And she came again the second day. She did the same thing. And again the third day. Now something happened on the third night that she could not hide the truth. She spoke the truth that she was hired to allure him, to put him into an illusion, but she has failed. But because she had heard the chanting of the holy name from a pure person, even she started chanting and she requested Haridas, how can I chant like you? So Haridas said, I knew on the very first day why you come here. Anyway, I will teach you how to chant, but first of all, go and sell all your property. Whatever you get from your property, give it to the brahmanas or to the devotees. Go and shave your head up and come, wearing only one cloth. So she returned, wearing only one white sari. She shaved her head and she was told, okay, you chant here and don't leave this place. There was a tulsi plant and she went on chanting it. And she also started chanting 192 rounds a day. And the people of the village or the town were shocked that this a sudden transformation came into her and she became a celebrated devotee of Krishna. So this is an example of Haridas Thakur. And if you see that even big demigods, they get attracted to this sensual pleasure. We all know the incident of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee. He's called best of the Vaishnavas. But one day, we know that during the churning of the ocean, the demigods took part, and the Danavas took part. And the Amrit came out, which means the nectar came out. But before the nectar came out, the poison came out. And Lord Shiva, he drank the poison. And by the mercy of Lord Krishna, the poison did not enter him. It remained at the neck. That's why it's called Nilkant. So same Lord Shiva, while he was busy in drinking the poison, at that time, Krishna took the form of Mohini, a very beautiful woman, to cheat the demons and gave the nectar to the demigods. So when Shiva came, when all the demigods told Lord Shiva that you should have seen Mohini, she was so beautiful. Now, Krishna, as it is the most beautiful person. Imagine Krishna took a feminine form. He'd be very beautiful. So Lord Shiva once told Krishna that I want to see that form. Krishna says it's not meant for you. It's better you don't see it. He said, no, but I want to see it. So within minutes, at that time Shiva was with Parvati, and Parvati is regarded as the most beautiful woman in the creation also. Very, very beautiful. So at that time, Krishna changed the whole atmosphere, environment, and they were in a jungle. And while they were in a jungle, walking here and there, they saw one nice, beautiful girl in youth, not even a woman, a youth girl, playing with a ball, wearing a yellow sari. And when the wind came, her parts were exposed, and Lord Shiva got allured to her. Though he is with the most beautiful woman, Parvati forgot about her, and he ran behind this girl. And by the time he touched her, it became Krishna. And Shiva felt ashamed. So Sri Prabhupada says that if you are engaged in a devotional service, you will not be allured. But if you are not engaged in devotional service, you will be allured. So many people may say, oh, Shiva is a great devotee. Why was he allured? Actually, Shiva cannot be allured. Why did he got allured? Because he wanted to become allured. In our case also, if we want to be allured by sexual pleasure or by Maya, then it's possible. But if our desire or will is strong, we will not be attracted to this sensual pleasure. So lesson to learn from this purport is that this verse appears in the last section of this chapter. And earlier, some very beautiful verses have come. Vidya Vinaya Sampane. In that verse, it says, a learned or a true Brahmin sees Krishna in the heart of everyone in the form of Paramatma. So he does not see anyone to be greater or lesser. You see, because he has this neutral vision that he sees everyone. So in this section, we find that Krishna is describing the determination, the happiness, and existential condition of a person who is serious or pursuing Krishna consciousness. So all these verses in a line are very useful to the devotees, and they teach us how to perform our daily activities. So you have to follow these verses. Now let's go a little deep into this. You'll find that most people think that why people become devotees. Most people think because they have no ambition in life. That's why they become devotees. No, it's not like that. Or some people think maybe they are frustrated with the material life, or they have no talent or abilities. That's why they become monks or living a life of a sadhu. That is not true either. Devotees understand that sensual pleasures, they come, they go. I can give you one simple example. You can test it yourself. if you are a man or a woman, you find that even a person who is not a devotee can ask this question to himself. You may be attracted to a certain woman or a certain lady, and then you see another lady, you'll forget that one and you'll go for that one. Again, you go for the third one. In this way, the mind has two angles. Sometimes it attracts you to some place, and same mind will give you a displeasure to that object. And then you'll be repelled to that object. You'll be attracted to another object. This is an everyday story. And a devotee knows this very well. Devotees knows that these pleasures are fleeting. They come and they go. They don't stay forever. However, only a fool will think, oh, let me enjoy. He does not know that by enjoying those sensual pleasures, he's risking his self-realization or his Krishna conscious life. So devotee is not attracted to all these things. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita says, all the sensual or material pleasures have a beginning and an end. There's no end. And an end. And Sri Prabhupada explains that the senses demand pleasure every moment. Everyone wants to enjoy and enjoy so much. And the more you give pleasure to your senses, the more the attraction or more it increases. Take an example. You can see my hand. If there's an itching on my hand, if I just itch it once and leave it, no problem. But if I keep itching it continuously, what will happen? It can bring you a problem and your skin can get spoiled. In a similar way, this sensual attraction is like itching. And if you cannot tolerate the itching, it will increase. Prabhupada says all our senses are like serpents. Serpents mean small snakes, and they are full of poison. Our senses are not good. Imagine we have 10 senses, 5 working senses, 5 knowledge gathering senses. Now, knowledge gathering senses are always active. Eyes, 2 eyes, our nostrils, our ears, our skin, our mouth are always active. And because they are poisonous, especially for those who are not devotees, whatever they see is not actually pure. So till our eyes are not pure, till our ears are not pure, all our senses are not pure, dirty things come and settle into the mind. This this increases lusty desires. Towards the end of the 3rd chapter, Arjuna asked a very important question to Krishna. He tells Krishna, "Oh Krishna, why do we commit sin unwillingly, as if there's a force in us? What is that force?" And Krishna gave one word answer. He says it is due to lust, which is born in the mode of passion, due to sense. When you can't control your senses, when you're in the mode of passion, when you contemplate on a sense object, and the more you think about it, lust increases. And when your lust is not fulfilled, you become angry. And when you become angry, you lose your intelligence. And when you lose your intelligence, you fall down in the material pool. So imagine where it started and where it ended. And then Krishna even advises Arjuna, if you want to curb the lust, there are only 2 ways you can do it. One is to control your senses from the very beginning. So when we gaze at something, we do not gaze with dirty eyes. We should not hear with dirty ears. We should not smell with dirty way, nor taste any dirty things. In other words, if we curb our senses from the very beginning, we are safe. And the second thing is, even if they come into us, the dirt is already entered. There's still another weapon we have, is remembering our constitutional position, that we are all eternal servants of Krishna. That confidence will save us from lusty desires. So 2 ways you can control your lust. So a devotee knows these things very well. She doesn't waste this time in fulfilling the demands of the senses. So how does a devotee use his time? Kala avaratakam. He doesn't waste his time. Srila Prabhupada says, a devotee have found that 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and for the whole time, he has so much pleasure to share with Krishna. Because in any service you do for Krishna, there is always pleasure. And if you're not feeling the pleasure, it means you're not on a devotional platform. For example, a simple thing we do every day is chanting Hare Krishna. If you are enjoying your chanting Hare Krishna, it means your devotion is good. If you think you are struggling to chant, that means something wrong somewhere. And we have to correct our ways by going to a pure devotee who is chanting regularly and ask the devotee that I am struggling or I have difficulty in chanting, and that devotee can definitely help you. So Srila Prabhupada says, if one gets a taste of chanting, one can chant 24 hours a day and there's no difficulty. 24 hours a day, there'll be no difficulty. But first of all, we need to have taste. Srila Rupa Goswami says, the taste only comes when you clear first 4 steps. First of all, you have to have very strong faith. Number 2, Shraddha. Second is, you must have a good devotee association. Number 3, you should hear and chant regularly. That is called bhajan. And number 4, give up useless or meaningless habits. When you cross these 4 things, determination of chanting comes in, and then the taste will follow. But still, if the taste is not there, does not mean that you'll give it up. You still go on chanting regularly. But the only medicine for not chanting is chanting. Even if you're not chanted nicely, you just do more rounds. In this way, you can chant very, very nicely. So Krishna, who is within our heart, he is a spiritual spark who gives to each devotee happiness in devotion. This is how a devotee will enjoy. But it is not easy. Theoretically, it seems to be very easy. And it may seem easy in the beginning, but it is not easy. Why? Because unless you do not disconnect yourself from sensual pleasures, you cannot connect yourself to Krishna. You have two paths to choose, a path to the light or a path to the darkness. If you take the path of light, which is the path means the path to Krishna, there's no question of darkness. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Krishna Suri Sama Maya Hai Adhikar. Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Adhikar. If there is Krishna in your life, there's no question of darkness. There'll always be happiness. So it is not easy. So a devotee, a unique thing in every devotee is that he has a very strong willpower. When he wants to do something or when he sets to do something, he makes sure he does it. It is this willpower which will help you serve Krishna all the time. So there's a saying in Indian language that just children, when they want something, they can cry and cry till they don't get it. Second thing is a woman. A woman, especially who is married, when she wants something, she will cry and cry till the husband gets it. And the third one is a sadhu. A sadhu will cry and cry till he doesn't get the mercy of Krishna. So this is a common feature among these three: children, women, and a sadhu. That when their demand is not fulfilled, you have to work hard. Now, why do we cry? Chanting means crying. Prabhupada says, chanting means like a crying of an innocent child. He cries for the mother. So we also chant for the mercy of Krishna. Now I gave the example of Haridas Thakur. Let me give you the example which all of you know is Maharaj Ambarisha. How he used this time in the service of Krishna. So Maharaj Ambarisha is quoted twice in this Bhagavad Gita, in the chapter 2 and chapter 6. So if you go to chapter 2, you'll find Maharaj Ambarisha being quoted by Prabhupada. Savai mana Krishna padara viddo vachamsi vaikunte gunana varnamam. Here, we won't go to the Sanskrit, it's very long, it's 3 prayers. I can read the paragraph or the passage for you. King Ambarisha fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of Krishna, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulsi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated, his head in bowing down or paying obeisances to Krishna, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. All these qualifications make him a Matpara devotee, or the best of the devotees of Krishna. So Maharaj Ambarisha is another example. He did not waste his time. All his senses were used in the service of Krishna. So we also have the same senses. If we can utilize all our senses in the service of Krishna, there's no question of our senses getting attracted towards material sense pleasures. And the third example, which is the most famous example, is the gopis. The gopis would remember Krishna throughout the day. Of all the gopis who are in the spontaneous love are the gopis. And no one can be better than gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends them as the best devotees of Krishna. And for Krishna, they will do anything. So we have to learn devotion from them. So Gopi is a good example. And then we have a 5-year-old boy, which is Prahlad. He used to constantly remember Krishna by chanting the mantra for Krishna. Of course, it was Satyuga. The mantra was different. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let me bow down to Vasudeva. Vasudeva means the son of Vasudeva or Krishna. This is the mantra he used to chant all the time. So continuous chanting made him remember Krishna all the time. And in turn, Krishna protected Prahlad at each moment. Whenever he was in difficulty, Krishna was there. So that's his Prahlad. So these 3 examples we should remember. Now it's become 4. Ambarish Maharaj, Gopis, Prahlad, and Haridas Thakur. All of them use their senses in the service of Krishna. So in short, we should, one of the first things we have to control is our senses. For those who have been reading Bhagavad Gita regularly, if you go to the chapter 2, the last section of chapter 2, Krishna speaks about sense control. And he gives the example of a tortoise. A tortoise, when attacked, will withdraw its limbs and head, and nothing can happen to the tortoise. In a similar way, if you think your senses are become polluted or spoiled, you bring them back. Don't allow your senses to become dirty. So in this way, we can remain Krishna conscious all the time, each minute of our life, and remain strong in our devotional service. That is the message of this particular verse. Hare Krishna. I'll end my class here. And now we'll open the floor. If you have any questions, please ask. It's already 8:40. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Kritika Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes. You can ask any question or any doubt, please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for such an elaborate description of this shlok. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody from this group. We are an international group. We have devotees from all over the world. Prabhuji, we have a question. It's not in the chat, but I'll ask Richa Mataji to ask the question. Richa Mataji, can you ask your question, please?
Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Continue.
Hare Krishna to everyone, Dandavat Pranam. My question was that, Prabhuji, you mentioned that we have to treat everyone equally, even the lower people, even the greater people. But now, as in ISKCON, there are great Maharaj, very great Prabhujis who are so devoted, but now we cannot consider them as equal to other people. Like, they are such great personalities. So how do we can be equal to them? Because if someone is higher, you have to be higher to them. Like when you go to work, you have a boss who's controlling you, so you have to count him as a higher personality and not consider him and treat him as equal to others, like the employees that you can treat with. So how do we deal with this? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your nice question. Okay, now this question of yours has got 2 levels. What I had explained in the lecture is that we should be able to see Krishna in the heart of everyone. That is the meaning of saying treating everyone equally. We do not say this is a low person or that is a high person. There is Krishna in the heart of everyone. So this verse, if you have Bhagavad Gita, you can go to this chapter 5, verse 18, which says, Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmane Gavi Hashini, Suni Chaiva Sapakecha, Pandita Samadarshina. That is called Samadarshi. Samadarshi means seeing Krishna in the heart of everyone, which is mentioned many times, that within us there is Atma, and next to the Atma is Paramatma. Atma is very small, Paramatma is big. So there are 2 souls in us. And since we see in us Atma and Paramatma, we should have the vision of seeing Atma and Paramatma in everyone. In this way, you will not only just become a nice human being, but you'll become a kind, kind person. This is the meaning of this verse. Now, when it says there are people who are higher than you, then you have to show respect accordingly. Now, this point is explained nicely in a book called Nectar Instruction by Rupa Goswami. He speaks of three kinds of devotees. Devotees who are beginners, they are called Kanishtas. With Kanishtas means they are beginners, they've just started chanting Hare Krishna. They're better than the rest of the people or the general mass of people. Even they're better than yogis. At least they're chanting Hare Krishna. With Kanishta, you at least fold your hands and show them respect. Now, those who are higher than that are called Madhya, or we can say in between, Madhyam. These devotees, they already accepted the Guru and they are following the Guru and practicing Krishna consciousness. Now, when you meet them, you pay your respects to them and try to listen to them because they are very good instructors. These are called Madhyam. And then still one more class higher is the Uttam Adhikari, or the advanced devotees. Now, these advanced devotees, not only you pay respect, but you take full shelter of them. So this is the way we act. Rupa Goswami explains, for the newcomers, we show respect to them. For those who are medium, you associate with them and learn about Krishna consciousness. And those who are advanced, you take shelter of them. For example, those who are spiritual masters in our ISKCON, these are advanced devotees. So with them, you don't mingle like the Kanishtas or the newcomers. They're already experienced people. They know scriptures very well. And if you take shelter, your life will be successful. That's why Rupa Goswami says that if you're serious about Krishna consciousness, take a shelter of such a guru. Guru means an advanced devotee. And who is an advanced devotee? Who has full control over his senses. He knows scriptures in and out. He also has his own guru. And he's stable in his Krishna consciousness for years and years. That's an advanced devotee. So, Richa, I think you got the answer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. I understood quite well.
Okay, so there are two angles I said. One is a neutral angle. One is how much you pay the respect. For example, if the president comes to your house, of course you have to show respect. He's not a devotee, but still you have to show respect. You go to your doctor, you show respect because he's there to treat you. Or your teacher comes to your house, you have to show respect. Teacher is also good. So whoever is better than you, always show your respect. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, in our Krishna consciousness, we show respect to everyone. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadari. The meaning is that we pay respects to everyone and we do not demand respect from anyone. If you follow this principle, you can chant 24 hours a day. Is it okay, Richard?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's a really good explanation. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else has a question?
Anyone with a question?
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, sorry, Prabhuji, just an interruption here. Before asking anyone question, just I'm giving some introduction about His Grace Rukhma
Yes.
Prabhuji. We have no chance in the beginning of this session, but it is our so much good fortune that today we have a great association with a great devotee. Everyone knows about the Rukhma Prabhu. It is called the backbone of the ISKCON Nairobi. And Rukhma Prabhu, since a long time, it means almost 40 years, he is served in Sri Radha Banke Bihari temple in Nairobi. He is a very senior devotee, he has a very depth knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, also in Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and other the scriptures. He has spent almost the time, and now he is also giving his lectures in different talks in different college and universities also. He is conducting also Bhakti Shastri course and Bhakti Vaibhava course also. and he's a part of management team, he's a senior management team in Eastern Nairobi. When he was in business, he's from a Gujarati family, and all the families he belongs to in there in the temple compound. You see many buildings are there. And Rukhma Prabhu before was a very big businessman. And in this time, he was joined in Krishna consciousness. Like his father and mother met Srila Prabhupada also, and they helped his fathers and mothers. They helped them to purchase the land and develop of this ISKCON Nairobi temple. And by the grace of Prabhupada and mercy of Prabhupada, Rukhma Prabhu is a very great devotee. And as a greatness, the thing is that he have no any ego and not any such type of that thing. It's a very lenient and very humble person. Whenever we have any question and any comment, any problem, we just go to the Rukhma Prabhuji and Rukhma Prabhu sort out these things. It is my personal experience. Last 6 years I am in Kenya, and first I met Rukhma Prabhuji in Nairobi, and also with the torch. And if you are in the torch of Rukhma Prabhu, you never be forgot at all. It's a very familiar and very friendly atmosphere, and very cordially is giving care, special care to everyone, giving special attention to everyone, is asking what is the things, whatever it may be. And we are so privileged today. We get the association of His Grace, Rukhma Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your precious time. And,
Sorry, a bit of a correction. It's not my parents who bought the land for the temple. In fact, I lost my father in a very young age. My mother brought me up. And my mother is the first one to join ISKCON. My wife was the second one. I was the third one. And to be very frank, I was not a very religious person. But by the mercy of Prabhupada, I became changed. But anyway, yes, I have served this temple for the last 40 years. Even till today, I serve Radha Bhanki Bihari. I still go to the altar. I worship. And I teach Bhakti Shastri, not Bhakti Vaibhav. Bhakti Vaibhav is taught by Sri Gauranga Prabhu. And Sri Gauranga Prabhu is also, we can say, one of the assets of our Nairobi temple, who teaches everyone so much. Yes, I do teach Bhakti Shastri. I can teach in all the 3 languages, in Gujarati, in Hindi, in English, and also the 4th one, Kiswahili. I know all those languages. So anyway, too much praise is no good. It can spoil me. But ask for the mercy of Sri Prabhupada that I keep serving till the last day of my life. This is all I can ask you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. This is your greatness, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Yeah, any more questions?
Yes, Prabhuji. There are many questions. If you are permission, then you can ask.
Yeah, go ahead. Please ask. We still have time.
Yes, Prabhuji. The thing is that you are in the chapter 5 in Karma Yoga, and everywhere we are read since a long chapter, and everywhere we read this one, the word is a self-realized person, a self-realized person. We try to control our senses. We try to engage our senses. We try to chanting effectively every day. We try to doing our service the best, but it did not happen. So what's supposed to be the solution, and what is the way? Please guide us so that we can progress in Krishna consciousness, and at least we can realize ourselves.
Okay, the best self-realization process is to chant very nicely. You'll find that those who chant nicely, they will progress. Now, it's not that you will feel the progress. The progress will come on its own. For example, if you're a very sick person, you go to a doctor. We already have a doctor here. Mataji, what's the name? Kirtika Patel. If a patient comes to you, you'll first diagnose, isn't it? And then give the medicine accordingly. In the similar way, when we go to a doctor, will give us a medicine. Now, it's not that the medicine is going to work the same day. Sometimes if the disease is serious, it will take some time. So we all have a disease called materialism. So we have to saturate our mind and senses with the names of Krishna. And then the disease will be removed. It takes time, gradually. I explained in the lecture that before we come to the taste of chanting, there are 5 steps you have to take. First one is strong faith. Adho Shraddha, Sadhu Sang. You have to associate with the devotees. Bhajana Kriya, you have to chant your rounds and hear. Not just chanting, also hearing. Third thing, You have to give up your bad habits or useless activities, give them up. You to become determined that I have to chant my rounds. Because your heart will always say, I don't want to chant. And you have to fight with your heart and say, no, I want to chant. Just like a child says, I don't want to go to school. And the mother said, no, you have to go to school. The same way, the mind is childish. You should remember that. You should be able to convince your mind, chant your rounds. That is called nishtha, determination. Then comes the ruchi. Ruchi means the taste for chanting. So if you are chanting your rounds daily, and make sure when you are chanting, you are hearing. I've seen many devotees, they chant, but they don't hear. When you're chanting, each syllable should go into your ear, from the mouth to your ear. If it is going, you're chanting nicely. Many people, especially in our Indian community, they say, oh, when I'm chanting, my mind is going here, my mind is going there. This thought is coming, that thought is, don't worry. This is natural. Mind will do three things at the same time. It cannot stop thinking, it cannot stop willing, and thinking, feeling, and it cannot stop feeling. You cannot force your mind to stop these three activities. Let them go on. Our duty is to speak the holy name and hear the holy name. This is called perfect chanting. And Srila Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita in Madhya Lila, while chanting, both your lips should move and your tongue should vibrate. I've seen some devotees like completely frozen lips. That is not chanting. Chanting means you have to move. You have to move your upper lip, lower lip, and your tongue. It's not that you scream, no. You have to chant. And you hear it. And you'll enjoy your chanting. And even if your mind is not attentive, it will come to attention. And that's why those who are chanting 16 rounds, they all have an experience. And maybe the first 2 or 3 rounds are not very, very comfortable. But as soon as you enter into the 4th and 5th round, you can chant the rest of the rounds very nicely. If you do not put a habit, how will you do it? But if you are hearing daily your chanting, you are okay. I'll give you another example. If you go to study in a university, you have to hear lectures. If you don't attend your 75% of lectures, you'll not be allowed to sit in the exam. So at least 75% of your chanting, you should hear it. That is what I am saying. Because all our 99% of our devotional service is dependent on our chanting. Prabhupada says it's not important how much money you bring to the temple, how many things you do for the temple. Most important is the thing you do in your life is you chant your rounds nicely. And the rest, success will follow. So let everything else depend on Krishna. You do your duty of chanting very nicely. And you'll feel the progress. After a few years, you'll find that you are a better person. Like in the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, a hungry man, when you are very hungry, then what can please you is only food. And the moment you put the first morsel in your mouth, you feel good. When you put the second one, you feel still better. Third one, you feel, and a time comes, you say, no, I am now satisfied. In the same way, you yourself will feel satisfaction if you are chanting nicely. Yeah, I can ask you a question to yourself also. That does your chanting is good all the day, every day, Partha Prabhu?
No, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Not all the every day. Yeah.
You are saying like this for 6 years. I am telling you for 30 years. I can tell you myself that I cannot say that my chanting is good always. No, it goes up and down. If you draw a graph, you know what is a graph?
Yes.
It goes up and it goes down. It doesn't matter. But I have to do my rounds. If I have my bead bags, I have to make sure that I have done my 16 rounds. This shows that you're obeying your Guru. When you obeying Guru, it means you're obeying Krishna. So that is a must. Chanting daily will help you. And reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Reading Bhagavad Gita daily, at least one purport a day. One purport a day must be read without fail before you sleep. And hearing Bhagavatam. These 2 books are considered to be the sun and the moon of our Krishna consciousness. Can we live without sun and moon in this world? You can't. So even in Krishna consciousness, you can't live without the sun and the moon. The Bhagavatam is the sun, and this Bhagavad Gita is like the moon. It cools you down and humbles you down and brings your head at the feet of Krishna. This is a simple advice I can give you. Is it okay, Path Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for your enlightenment, Prabhuji. We're so okay.
Okay. Anybody else would like to ask anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This
Hare
is
Krishna.
not question, it's a request. Prabhuji, Eldoret is a very small town, and we are most of the Eldoret devotees new in Krishna consciousness. Because of Eldoret center, we become to Krishna consciousness. Our request is to please come as possible and associate with us and help us. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, definitely I'll do once this COVID drama is over. The COVID thing is over. Because I go to Kisumu very regularly. I can even come to Eldoret. But it all depends on how well we can travel and associate. But don't think yourself to be small, because Eldoret Temple is what we call a temple, is a center. So it depends on all of the devotees there. If you associate with each other very nicely, if you chant very nicely, I request all the devotees in Eldoret that if you can't come to temple to chant early in the morning, at least do it once in a week, like a Sunday. Come and chant at least 6 rounds in the temple. And you see it's so effective. When you chant in a group, you feel the energy. If you chant on your own, you may go to sleep. So you should make a group and chant, like in our Nairobi temple. Exactly when the Tulsi Puja gets over at about 5:10, we all devotees sit together and start chanting. By this, we get a strength. And those who skip this morning program, they are the ones who become weak. So if you want to keep up your strength, then you have to practice. Just like in a military. If you are in the military force, then you are told to run on the ground daily morning to keep up your energy. It's not that they are punishing you, but to keep up your energy in the same way. In Krishna consciousness, chanting is the first duty. Okay? So unite, live together, share your Krishna consciousness with each other. In this way, you remain strong. Because bhakti cannot be done alone. Yoga can be done alone. Gyan can be done alone. Karma can be done alone. Bhakti has to be done in a team. There has to be a teamwork. See, one is becoming weaker, another will help. Like you watch a football match. To score a goal, it needs the whole team to help you. It's not that you only are shooting the goal. No. It comes very systematically to the striker, and then the striker will strike and get the goal. In the same way, in bhakti, you need a lot of support. Ask any devotee, is he Krishna consciousness by his own help? He'll say no. He'll give you a list of devotees. This devotee helped me, that devotee helped me, that devotee helped me, that devotee. I went through these dark times, I went through the difficult times. I felt like running away. All these this happens. You should remember one line of Prabhupada. Prabhupada says it's very easy to join ISKCON. To start ISKCON is very easy. But to stay in ISKCON is very difficult. Why? Because we don't have that tolerance. So tolerance is very important. In your Bhagavad Gita, go to the chapter 2, verse number 14. Matra sparshyastu kanteyo sitoshna shukatupada. Agama paino anityastam titikshashva bharata. Titikshashva means learn tolerance. If you are tolerant in good times, bad times, difficult times, if you know how to tolerate, you can stay in Krishna consciousness forever, forever. That's a secret I can tell you. All right.
Prabhuji, one request for your association on Zoom. If you can spare some time in a week, because we meet every day. We do one text every day. So, Prabhuji, if you can give us one day every week, we'll really appreciate, depending on your schedule.
Okay, you can communicate with Path Prabhu, and then you decide a day, because on Thursdays I give a program to the devotees in UK. On Saturdays I teach Bhakti Shastri to the devotees of Kisumu and Nairobi. So maybe some other day, like Thursday or Wednesday is okay.
Okay, Prabhuji. We'll
Yes, Prabhuji.
let Parth
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
you decide among yourselves.
Yes, yes,
And then-
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Nice.
Okay,
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
I'm also recording today's session and I didn't ask your permission in the beginning. I usually ask, but I think we were too enthusiastic to hear from you. So, and I put it on our YouTube link. Is that okay, Prabhuji?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Shri Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Tatra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Vajjabhavadru Vasya Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnava.
Vaishnaveebhyo namah.
I
Vaishnava.
request, yes, Prabhuji, please, 1 minute, Prabhu. I request everyone, please unmute yourself and for glorification of His Grace, Rukhma Prabhuji and Srila Prabhupada will chant Hare Krishna mantra once. This is our gratitude to His Grace, Rukhma Prabhu. Please join. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. His Grace Rukhma Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Please write your comment in the group or in